Let's talk about the invisible chain that connects a conflict thousands of miles away to the food on your plate. It's like a massive domino effect, one that exposes this hidden architecture of vulnerability in our global food system. So, we're going to pull on that thread and see exactly how one regional spark can ignite a global fire. And this number, 45 million, this isn't just some abstract statistic. This is the real human cost at the very end of that domino chain. The World Food Program estimates this is how many more people could be pushed into acute hunger by mid-2026, all triggered by that one distant conflict. It's just a stark reminder of how incredibly fragile our global food security really is. So that brings us to the big question for this whole explainer, right? How does one flashpoint, one regional issue, lead to a global crisis? How do those dominoes actually fall? To get that, you really have to follow the chain all the way back to the source. Okay, so our journey starts in this one single narrow stretch of water. It's a critical artery for global trade that has almost overnight become the epicenter of this whole crisis. This is it, the Strait of Hormuz. And for global agriculture, this isn't just any old shipping lane. It is an absolute lifeline. Any disruption here doesn't just slow things down a little bit. It sends a massive shockwave through the entire system. And right now, that lifeline is getting squeezed. And this is where you can see just how concentrated that risk really is. Think about this. Over a third of the world's traded urea and a quarter of its ammonia. These are the absolute core building blocks for modern fertilizer. All of it flows through this one single choke point. That is a huge vulnerability, all packed into one very narrow passage. So a disruption in one narrow strait creates a fertilizer problem. Got it. But how does that domino then tip over to create a global food problem? Well, the answer lies in this really fundamental link between energy and pretty much everything we eat. It's a pretty clear three-step process. First, you get regional instability, and that messes with energy and shipping. Right away, that drives up the price of natural gas, which, you have to remember, is the main ingredient for making nitrogen fertilizers. And the result? The cost to produce that fertilizer absolutely skyrockets. And look, Joseph Glober from the International Food Policy Research Institute, he puts it perfectly. He says you simply can't separate the price of energy from the price of food. It's baked into every single step, from the moment a seed is planted to the moment you pick it up at the grocery store. And here's what that looks like in the real world. This World Bank data, wow, it shows the price shock in action. Urea prices jumped almost 46% in a single month. That is not a slow trend. That's a sudden, massive jolt right to the heart of the system. Okay, so let's move to the next domino and see how this thing builds. Because that 46% price spike, it doesn't just stay at the factory. It travels from the fertilizer plant directly to the farm. For farmers all over the world, this is just a simple but really brutal equation. Fertilizer is one of their main costs. So when that cost soars, their profits just vanish. And the entire cost of growing essential crops like wheat goes way, way up. And of course, those higher farm costs get passed on almost immediately. Global wheat prices, they jumped 13% just since the last update, and they're up 7% compared to this time last year. The connection is direct, and the impact is fast. And now, the shockwave goes truly global. This price surge doesn't hit every country equally. As it always seems to go, the most vulnerable get hit the hardest. And that creates these inflation hotspots all around the world. And analysis from the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization confirms exactly that. Domestic food prices are spiking most severely in developing nations. Their early warning systems are flashing red, flagging these abnormal price levels that directly threaten people's ability to even buy food. The data from the World Bank paints a really stark picture of this divide. A full 50%, literally half of all low-income countries are grappling with food inflation above 5%. Now compare that to just 7.5% of high-income nations. It's not just an economic event, it's a crisis of inequality, where the burden of this global shock falls heaviest on those who can least afford to bear it. So, in response, organizations like the World Bank are trying to get ahead of the next shock. They're funding all these projects across the globe, from strengthening value chains in Honduras to building long-term food resilience for hundreds of millions in Africa, all in an effort to cushion these blows before they land. So this is the crucial point, right? We can't just keep reacting to crises after they happen. We have to understand the vulnerabilities in the chain itself. If we ever want to prevent these dominoes from falling in the first place, we have to build a stronger system. And that brings us to the ultimate goal: food system resilience. It's a really powerful concept. It basically means creating a global food supply that can actually absorb a shock, whether that shock comes from conflict, climate, a pandemic, you name it, and still make sure everyone has access to the food they need, day in and day out. As we've gone through this, we've seen exactly how the entire domino chain hinges on just a few critical points of failure. Our whole global food system is built on a handful of pretty fragile assumptions: that key choke points will always stay open, that energy will stay affordable, that supply chains will just hold. This crisis shows us just how incredibly risky those assumptions are. And this leaves us with a critical choice. Because the shocks, they're not going to stop. In fact, they're only getting more frequent. So the question isn't just how we react to the next crisis, but whether we're willing to redesign a system that, right now, seems built to break. How do we create a food system that is truly designed to bend, not shatter, in a world that keeps putting it under pressure?